Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. Hello, everybody. It is, by the time you're hearing this, I think it's the first day of December.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. We have a whole nother week of...
No, by the time people hear it.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. Well, it'll actually be the last day of November when this comes out, November 30th. But for most people listening, then it will probably be December already, and that's just fucking crazy. That is what I've just been talking about like all week. Like, yeah. Why? How did this happen? How are we here?
It's almost the end of the year.
Yeah, it's insane. 1 month left of the year, and that kind of brings me to a subject we won't get on or stay on long, because I think we already know how we feel about them, but like New Year's resolutions. So not creating any, but it just made me think like, wow, I've been seeing a lot of posts lately of like, oh, the last 60 or 90 days of the year, like you can still reach your goals, or you can do this, that, or the other for 2023. Like, how do you want to end the year? And yeah, now all of a sudden we're at 1 month left of the year. And I'm like, yeah, if you did set some New Year's resolutions for 2023, I would be very curious of like how many you hit or how much you have left to hit. And if it can be done in the last month, but I don't set them really. I don't set specific ones like in 2020, whatever, I want to do this, that, and the other. They're very more broad. Like I just want to get better at this or that or something. But yeah, can't believe it. 1 month left. I just want to finish the year out strong and in the like routine that I'm in right now that has been pretty good. But I do worry it is hard for me to stick to things because I just burn out easy. So I'm just like, okay, as fast as time goes and the days suddenly just happen and like, oh, didn't get a workout in or didn't do that. And then it snowballs into like, oh, I didn't do anything all week. So I've been doing good, staying on track. And I just hope that I can maintain that and continue to maintain it into 2024 and not hit this wall that I always hit where I'm just completely off the rails and nothing in life is like normal.
Said 2024 and it shook me.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
It's wild. It's really
at one
wild.
of our meetings at that trade show, one of the guys we were meeting with, he said like 15, 16, and we were all like, what? You're like 10 years behind. He's like, oh yeah, like I mean like 25, 26, because we're talking about the future. And it's like, yeah, that is so crazy to think about. I mean, it was so weird just writing. I was in middle school in the 2000s when 2000 hit, but it still was weird writing like 00 and 01 instead of like 99 or 98 when you're dating all your homework. And yeah, now that we're in the 20s, it's like, what the hell? So nuts. But anyway, before we hop on to the upcoming holidays, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was really lovely. Had a chill morning and then went over to a girlfriend's house and helped her with some things, and then did dinner there, and then went and picked up the fam, and then went over to Murray's mom's house, and then I had another Thanksgiving dinner there, and it was really lovely, and we like sang and danced, and yeah, it was really lovely to get together for a holiday amidst a separation. So it was really, really great.
Yeah. I don't think you've said that.
Yeah, no, I haven't said
on
that
the
on
podcast.
air.
So
yeah, no, I haven't said that on air.
I was
yeah,
like, wait a second.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're saying it out loud to the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously people who are not like in our close circles don't know because you've been going through the things and feeling it out. And so tell, well, as much as you want, if you even want
Yeah.
to give just a
Yeah.
little, like, overview, however much you want to let the people know, because,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
share a lot on this podcast, and I think we do. I think we get vulnerable, at least for
Yeah.
maybe what we're really used to. But there's still things that we have to hold on to and keep close to ourselves because
Yes.
this
We're
is
still
out into the
feeling.
world. Yeah. And this is
Yeah.
like, we know some of our good friends listen to it and they already know what's going on, but we also have no fucking clue who listens to it.
Yeah.
And, we just, not everything has to be just out there completely to the world. We be as honest as we can about things, and we're honest about our feelings. Like, hey, we're in the shit right now. Stuff's going on, but it doesn't always come out right away. So we've definitely mentioned of, being in the muck and you've got a lot going on, and part of that is what you just said.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, how's
Yeah.
that? What's going on? Like I said, share whatever you
So,
want.
yeah. So back in spring, I approached my partner, Murray at the time, the father of my son, and I was like, I can't do what we're doing anymore and I'm moving out. And it took me a long time to accept it. I sat with the separation for probably like 2 years. And one mistake that I made that I learned from this separation is that when I was feeling the separation 2 years ago, I didn't talk to my partner about it. I wasn't talking to Murray about it. I was going on this journey on my own. I was going through therapy. Like, I was doing what I thought I needed to do, and just kept him in the dark of how I was feeling. So if you are doing that in a relationship right now, don't, because that's where the true division begins, is when someone starts feeling something and doesn't communicate it with their partner, especially if it's a feeling within the relationship. And yeah, so I started doing that and having those feelings 2 years ago. And then, probably a year into having those feelings, my girlfriend was like, well, have you talked to Murray about it? And I was like, holy crap, no, I haven't. So then I started being more vocal about it. But it probably came from a place that wasn't really kind because I had been feeling away for so long. Um, and so, yeah, we just didn't handle it well. And then it just kind of got to me, like, it being Murray is an incredible human being. He has a beautiful, beautiful brain that is just highly functioning. And he's also an environmentalist like me. So he cares about like all the stuff and things in the world. So he just collects stuff. And the stuff got to be too much. And I just had been like fighting this like constant battle of cleaning and organizing all this stuff that he would collect and bring home. And I was just in this battle on my own, like trying to make cozy, clean spaces for my family. And he would just continually bring things in, and just like it just got too much. And I just felt like I'm like smothering in all of his stuff and his things. Um, whew, yeah. And so it just got to be too much. And when I was going through the grief recovery thing, that's when it really hit me. I think in the middle of that, I was like, all right, I can't do it. I'm done. I'm moving out. And so I vocalized that. It took me 2 months to figure out what to do, where to go. So I ended up moving into a girlfriend's house for summer. And then I got my own place in October. And that has been really lovely. And it's just kind of been like this progressive, like, okay, I'm staying at a friend's house, just kind of like feeling it out, because it's not just me going through this separation. It's a familial unit. Like, it's me, it's our son, it's Murray, and it's also my nephew, because my nephew is living at Murray's house as well. So it's just this multitude of moving parts, and also trying to like feel out what I'm feeling, because I never ever wanted this ever. And Murray keeps on saying that. He keeps on being like, well, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. And I'm like, no, bro, this is far from what I wanted. I want a familial unit. I want our son to have a two-parent household. I want to not be timesing my bills by two in a crazy economy. Like, this isn't what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. And so, yeah, it's just like trying to like meet the what you have in your head as far as what you need in your life to be a happy, healthy, functioning, whole human being, and then what you fell in love with. No, I don't, honey. Sorry. Kiddo came in. He's trying to make a fort. But yeah, so just trying to navigate that. And I feel like because there was a ton of shame, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On Murray's side and on my side, like we felt shameful that like things crumbled. We felt shameful that we couldn't make it work. And just because we're living apart doesn't mean that we can't make it work in the future. And
Hmm.
we are doing, I have to say, we are doing a really, really, really good job. I'm very proud of like how
Good.
we are navigating this. We have been talking to people outside of each other as far as like intimate relationships. And it took him a long time to come to wanting to talk to someone because he still wants us to be together. And
Hmm.
like, as do I, but like realistically, I can't move back into that house. And a part of that is finding other people outside of our people. So yeah, we are doing that and it sucks so bad, but I'm proud of myself for taking the steps to um get a life, get myself to a life that I can be proud of. Because I remember being back at his house and just being so embarrassed by all the stuff and things. And amongst all the stuff and things, like Marie does a phenomenal job of like repurposing and reusing and like creating art and like
Hmm.
fixing a vehicle that would cost thousands of dollars to repair with like some junk that he found in his junk stash. And like it's all amazing and incredible. And I can see it as amazing and incredible. But to the exterior outside world, it looks like a freaking junkyard.
And so do
So,
you think like obviously there's tons of other things that go into your feelings, but with that aspect, like just being able to have space where you can separate that, like, hey, here's your garage or shop or whatever, where you can keep all of this shit. And,
yes,
but our house, our living area, and the like, outside the front door, whatever, this exterior is kept in this way that I
yes,
want it. And like that would help things, just being able
yes,
to have that separation instead of it being like all sort of mixed in one. And with that, again, getting just kind of deeper into it, and so you don't have to answer, of course, but do you feel like it was hard for you to say that you wanted that space and separation with things because it's like his house?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. And I just like when you're living in a home and you're living separately, that's not that's not fun. You know what I mean? That's not
mm-hmm.
if it's healthy and it works, then yes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like every household is entirely different, but like we were we were sleeping in separate rooms. We
right.
were living on separate floors. Luckily, we lived in a house big enough where he lived in the basement, which was like a separate apartment, and it was his own space to do whatever he wants. And I had the main floor. But
Mm-hmm.
then we got a roommate who lived on the third floor. So I was like in the middle of like this dude parade when I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to like hold down a wholesome household for my son. And it was just like, I just fucking couldn't do it anymore. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I bounced.
and I mean, like that separation is, like you said, could work for some people, but for you wasn't healthy because it wasn't helping your relationship grow. It's just causing more
Yeah,
separation in it. If it's one thing where it's like, yeah,
exactly.
here's your garage and your workspace, and that's where you can keep all of this stuff and like out of our living area, but you're still in the living area and sharing that living area and sharing a
Yes.
space together. But also when you mentioned that you were having these feelings for a long time and you gave the advice to people like don't hold it back because it just caused a further divide. Do you
Yeah.
think that's because you were just sitting in these feelings and letting yourself grow further away from him and he had no idea, so he wasn't in on it, right? So he wasn't
Yes.
he didn't know that anything maybe needed to change, and he's just
Yes.
living his best life without a clue. And that just probably caused some more resentment on your end of like, okay, things are just
1,000.
continuing to snowball into the direction I don't want them to go because I'm not telling him, thus like we're not working on this together of how we can change things.
Yes, 1,000%. And then once it came time, once I had that like epiphany moment when my girlfriend was like, "Did you tell
Mm-hmm.
him this?" I had already been on this trajectory and like doing all this personal growth stuff, but like we weren't doing it together
Right.
as a unit.
Mm-hmm. So you're
And
already
that's
like,
when the division, like the major division was like already starting.
right, you had already started to kind of heal some of these things or move on from them in one way, like just without him kind of like moving this way. And now you're like, I can't take a step back. I've already started to move forward.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
As
tough.
opposed to like going to therapy together and
Mm-hmm.
working on these things together. And then once I did come to that point, I was like, well, I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all of this. You need to catch up. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not fair. That's not fair to your
Right.
partner to be like, well, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. You should do this. Everyone goes and grows at their own progression,
Mm-hmm.
like you just gotta, like, if you're in a relationship, you gotta try your best to stay in a relationship and grow together. And sometimes that just doesn't happen. Like sometimes the people that you've had children with, you don't grow the same way. And like a big part of my thing was like my expectations for our household, like as far as like cleanliness and that's aesthetics, like no one else in that house was on my fucking page. And so I was like, all right, deuces, boys. I'm
Yeah.
out and I'm gonna try and like be on my own aesthetic. I don't know, which it's such a terrible mentality to have when you are in a relationship and a familial unit. Like you got to communicate with the crew and be on the same page as much as possible,
Yeah.
which
And
is,
I think it can be hard though. I mean, you grew up fast. You had to grow up fast. You had to take care of yourself from a young age. And like you had sisters that depended on you, older sisters and
yep,
younger sisters. And then moving on to, Jordan, your nephew at a young age, you were a caretaker from a very young age that I can see at this point in your life when you're not getting what you need. They're like, you know what? I'm just done. Okay, I've already done all this by myself. Like this is hard and I'm gonna keep doing it by myself. It's easier that way to
yes,
do that. It's yeah, it's hard to depend on people when you haven't really had that
mm-hmm,
rock or someone to depend on, or it just gets frustrating having to fucking ask. Because I know
yes,
for damn sure that's where I find a lot of my frustrations is the fact that I have to ask some of these things. Like,
yes,
why do I have to ask you to like do this or that for me? Or, like ask, like, can you take care of dinner tonight? Can you do the dishes tonight? Like, no, it should just be things that are done. Like,
yep.
and
In a perfect world,
yeah,
yes,
exactly. But also when it comes to those kind of, smaller things, it's just we think of things differently. Again, you like have a different way of doing things than your partner.
expectations,
Maybe like you're a little
yes,
more cleanly than your partner, or like they're like, oh, I was gonna do it, just the next time I got up or something. It's like, yeah, well, I want to do it now because it's all I'm thinking about. So I'm just gonna do it.
yes. Yeah,
So
and
our
your
brains work
focuses and your
different.
to-do lists are totally different from your partner's. Like what is on your trajectory today is
Yeah,
entirely different from what's on your partner's for today.
exactly. And I've come to trying to learn to like give things a chance before having to ask because I'm like, well, I feel like sometimes maybe I have to ask because I'm like, I want it done now. And
Yes.
and then I'm not giving the chance for it to have been done without me asking. And like
Yes.
sometimes, yeah, you wait around for days and you're like, okay, it still hasn't been done. I'm just gonna do it. But
Yep.
but again, it's like communication, right? So when you can express to your partner that hey, it's, just these little things like really help me out and make me feel good, and that we're a unit and not just a like
Yes.
one-sided here or there. But as a society, I think our communication is just not that great. And I think that it comes down to the fact of what we were taught, and it's still fed down people's
Yes.
throats a lot, but it is changing a little bit. And the fact that like this is the woman's job and this is the man's job. And it's it's just like, no, we're one, and we should be able to talk about all these things and not
Mm-hmm.
expect the other person to do it because of their gender or whatever. Um,
Yes. Yes,
but
and thank God that gap is changing
yeah.
and closing. Like it's unfortunate that it's like taken this many years and this many generations, but I really feel like some real changes are fucking happening right now, and it's
Yeah.
really incredible. And to revert back to like my relationship
Hmm.
with Murray, I can't say enough great things about that man.
Hmm.
He has shown me so much about this world and makes me feel so safe, and I still love him to high heaven to
Hmm.
this day. I wouldn't have had a child with him had I not seen him as such an incredible human being. And I just want the world to know that
Yeah.
he's a phenomenal person. And where we're at in this life is not because of like him being a bad person, me
Hmm.
being a bad person. Like we're all human, we make mistakes. It's just for what I want and need in my life right now. I can't do it with him in and
Yeah.
sharing the same household with him. And that's fine. And like we're
Hmm.
trying to find a new normal and doing it to the best of like Quincy's comfortability, Murray's comfortability, and mine and Jordan's and everybody, but like at the end of the day I just can't be live in the same household as him.
And I think that everything you said was amazing in pointing out that relationships don't have to end, or don't only end because you resent and hate this person and just can't
Yes.
be
Or
around them
because
at
of
all.
cheating. Yeah,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
because of
Infidelities or
like
anything. It's just like
yeah.
you're not getting what you need, and you recognized that. And you also just know that compatibility in relationships and living together is a real thing. And you got to the
Mhm.
point that you're not compatible in those ways that make a healthy family. And
Mhm.
right now, the healthiest your family can be is by you guys being apart and you getting what you need, him getting what he needs.
Yeah.
And if you can figure out a way to that works out in the future, amazing. But you both need to focus on your own needs. And
Yep.
sometimes that just happens that you need to figure out what you need for yourself and not
Mhm.
necessarily like what the other person can give you. Because
Yes.
some things we cannot get from other people, and that's what we have to
No.
figure out. And many of us get in relationships, or we're in, some people are like serial relationship people. They go from one relationship to
Yes.
another, right? They never had the chance to figure out what they need to give themselves versus what they need from other people. And that's hard
Yep.
to figure out when you're in a relationship.
A
And
hundred
sometimes you
percent.
can.
And
I'm
a
not saying like you
parent.
always have to leave a relationship to figure out what you need, but you do have to do a deep dive into figuring that. Like,
You.
yeah, is this me? What's the root of the problem? What's the root of the
Yeah.
problem? And how can I fix it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I've looked into myself a lot too, and things of said, I'm not saying or trying to make it sound like I'm now trying to put all the blame on myself, like, oh, I need to give more time for this to happen. But I know I do. Like, I need to not react so quickly. And I've talked about that many a times. I've talked about that with my boss when we have discussions on like the just different views of a design or something, that
Yeah.
I don't have to be so defensive and so reactive and like this has to happen right now on certain things. I need to like fucking take a second
Mm-hmm.
and let people have a chance.
Yes. And I will say, I feel like I have for surely seen a change within you surrounding that. And I'm proud of you. I'm
Oh,
so
thank
proud of you
you.
for that. Because there's so many things in life that it's just like it takes time for you to learn how to react differently or to like grow patience or to
Mhm.
grow stronger mentally. Like there's just things in life that you can't teach. Like you
Mhm.
have to learn these things on your own.
Yeah,
And it's fucking
100%.
hard.
It
And
is.
and
Well,
also
go
the
ahead.
things that you're unlearning
Mm-hmm.
are beautiful and great things within you. Like your tenacity and your drive is fucking killer, dude. And like you shouldn't like these things that you think are negative within yourself, you shouldn't see them as being like something terribly awfully wrong with you. It is a power within you that
Mm-hmm.
just needs to be harnessed in a different way, you
Right.
know?
Yes, I love that so much. And what you said too is unlearning. I think that's a key thing. And why this stuff takes so much time is because you're not just learning something yourself, like by going through it, but you are at the same time unlearning things.
Yes.
So it's not just like, oh, here's something brand new. You're trying to like, wait, undo this web while walking another line. There's just a lot going on, and everything is always easier said than done, right? And how many times
God,
are you told
yeah.
like do this, do that, whatever? But like you said, every situation is so different, every person is so different. We change throughout our life, change every day in how we
Mm-hmm.
perceive things. So this is why it's okay for people who've been together a long time to get to the point that like things aren't working out. And I
Yes.
think that people should definitely, you have to try in a relationship to make it work
Yes.
because it's not easy. Fights are
Mm-hmm.
normal, disagreements are normal, but you also have to be able to see when you've put the effort in and it's just not gonna work because maybe things have changed. Maybe you
Yeah.
want different things out of life, you're seeing different things. And I think that's perfectly okay. I don't think you have
Mm-hmm.
to be miserable. Like try to make things work,
Yes.
especially as a family, but you also have to have the wherewithal to understand when it's like going to be better to
Throw in the
separate
towel.
and you all can be happier from it, and then you don't
Mm-hmm.
have these like terrible separations or divorces of like said resentments or infidelities. And that can happen on a whim, or it can be someone who's checked out and they're like, well, I'm too afraid to leave my partner, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, but I'm gonna go over here, whatever. Because everyone is different.
And
And I
everybody's
just wish it
situation
would
is
be,
different.
and as money comes down to it a lot too,
Yes.
right?
I
Like I
was
said, like
gonna say
how
that.
often did you feel stuck because you're like, okay, cool, well, we live in this house right now that like we have, and I have Murray and Quincy and people here. For me to leave and go off on my own, that's taking a huge like financial responsibility on that
Giant.
I might not be ready for, especially like you mentioned in this economy. Like,
Yep.
okay, that's I've just doubled my bills. Finances are so fucking stressful, and it holds a
They
lot of
are.
people captive in a lot of
Yep.
situations in life. It holds them in shitty jobs, in shitty
Yep.
relationships, or even just in relation. It doesn't have to be shitty. Like yours and Murray's wasn't shitty, but it was holding you in a place that you felt like I
Complacent,
can't, yeah, I
comfortable.
can't really
Yeah.
move on in the way that I might want to because I really can't afford it. It's I mean, I'm still held captive by finances in many ways. I'm like, too I got a week till I get paid again. And I gotta watch
Yeah.
every dime. Like I have to drive to Auburn on Tuesday, so I can't do anything else because I gotta make sure I have enough gas money to get there and back.
Yes,
Like
dude.
I don't want to have
Real
to
life
like
shit.
think about that and basically try and hole up in my house and not spend a fucking dime because I have to make sure I can afford gas to go drive an hour and a half down and back in a day. And that's going to
Yep.
put me over the edge. Like I'm 35 years old. Like I don't want to have to think that way. And when my peers that I'm around, I'm like, sure, bet that this guy, next to me isn't worrying about what
Stressing about.
card to like pay for this beer for right now, and
Yep.
we're the
Yep.
same age or younger, and it's just insane. Like how am I still living like I'm 25 financially? Because finances fucking suck, and
Yeah, they do.
you just
And
like so
things
they
are
hold
just
you.
getting more and more expensive.
Yep.
And as you get older, you get yourself into more, you just add more to your plate.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so
Especially in
many
the way that
people.
when you don't learn about finances in a good way, because also the time that
Yes.
we grew up, it just, and I think where we grew up too, I think that has a lot to do with it. We obviously have a lot more privilege than some, but it's not like we grew up
Mm-hmm.
in a fancy rich neighborhood or something where it wasn't ever a problem. Like I learned how you pay for things is on credit.
Yeah.
Like, this
Yeah.
is how you get things. This is what everyone's still learning. How do you get a house? Who the fuck buys a house with money they actually have?
Yeah, for real.
Nobody,
Cash
you
money.
know? Like,
Drug dealers,
yeah,
baby.
totally, totally. Like, it's just crazy. But anyways, yeah, there's just so many aspects, and I think I'm proud of you for finally taking that step that you felt you needed to take, even though it was very, very scary and it added a
Oh.
lot more to your plate.
Yeah.
As if you already just didn't have enough trying to figure out life, even when you
Yep.
were with Murray, of trying to go back to school and start a new career, get back into a career, what have you. And so now you're out there like, yeah, you still have Murray as a co-parent, but you also are doing much of it on your own. So,
Yes. Yeah. And I will say another big thing about the shame was like, I mean, your parents are still together. Like so many people's parents are still together, but there's also so many parents who aren't and
yep.
were not when we were growing up, going through middle school, high school,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I just held that so high and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted that so badly for my family that like once it did come down for me to be like I can't, I was like but we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be those people who were together forever. But you know what, who knows,
Mm-hmm.
maybe down the road Murray and I are going to be like best fucking friends,
Mm-hmm.
and which I really hope for. I fucking love that dude, like,
Yeah.
but there's I just can't be all of it for him, so
Yeah. And I think that's fine. And I think also what you have to remember when you do look at those people who've been together forever is you see that surface is like they've been together forever. And you do not know what is going on
yes,
underneath and how unhappy people might be or how
truly,
complacent they might
yes,
be and how much better off they could be if they weren't together, but they
yes.
maybe are holding on to these ideals or other reasons that keep them together.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
marriage,
I think about like
finances.
my parents and Jason's parents, Joe's parents are together still, but everyone has their own issues, and I know for damn sure mine, just the fact of that's kind of all they know. Like
Yes.
from 19 years old, my mom, like with my brother, and they've had so many struggles along the way and are at that point in life now too where I feel like it's just like this it's the easy thing and they love each other because of so much they've been through. But goodness, it wasn't an easy road, that's for sure, and it
No.
still probably isn't. But
Yeah, no.
like it's just
Yeah.
I it's funny how you look at them that way and have had the thought of like I want to be together. And for me, I have never looked at marriage like this is the person I'm going to be with always and forever. Nothing ever, 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 ever is going to happen. I know you haven't too or
Yeah.
anything. I I'm like I love Andrew to death, and I don't see my life with any other person or anything. But I just feel like I'm aware that shit can happen. Do I ever want it
Yes.
to change? No, I don't. But I'm not going to play this game of like
Pretend.
nothing else can ever happen and nothing will ever come between us. I don't know. And people might think that's like a negative way to look at things, but I think it's a more realist. And like I said, I love him. I don't want anything else, but I also don't want to cling on to something when I'm not happy.
Yes.
And I don't want to be like people who maybe have hung on for so long, even not being happy.
Yep.
And so
Yeah. And
and
I
I
think
think
that
you
that's
did the stronger move of you realize like you're not happy and things need to change. And so you did, and you left the relationship because so
Yep.
many more people don't. They just stay together because it's easy and it's comfortable.
Yes.
So you just gotta do what's right for you. And
You really
you're
do.
doing that. So, and it
And
takes
what's
a lot
right
of
for me
courage.
isn't right for you. So
Yep.
just because I'm over here being like I'm separated, this has been the hardest year of my life, and
Yeah.
I have felt like I've been having this like crazy out of body experience more often than not since
Well,
going through it, but I'm also like in the middle of it and like partially on the other side. So like if you are in an unhealthy relationship, unhappy relationship, do what you got to do, but like be methodical about it. Like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I've thought about this more than I've like acted upon it, and I think
mm-hmm.
that that is also a big part of it as well. Is like you got to really sit with yourself and be like, how is this going to look? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand that like
totally.
if you meet someone and you're like head over heels and like you want to run into the sunset with this person, fine, so be it. But like think of your other person,
Mm-hmm,
because like
mm-hmm.
just because you've met this one person and you're head over heels, you still have someone else in your life that is like, I don't know, there and has been there, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, totally. You just don't know, especially if life feels stagnant, right? And doing something totally
Yes.
different is like, oh my God, that's so appealing. I mean, who hasn't thought about just like changing
Running
your
in.
yeah, one day, just taking a 180, like I'm gonna drive away and do this and this. Yeah, but like for the weekend, do it for the weekend. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
with another person.
exactly.
Like
Yes.
not condoning that or anything, but like yeah, if sometimes I feel like, God, I do miss the days of being in my 20s and taking my dog, loading up the truck, and going somewhere for the weekend.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can't do that right now because I have responsibilities, but like I can. And Andrew would support that. If I'm like, hey, I want to go to the beach for the weekend, whether he comes or not, and I want to go, like I can still do those things. And I need to know that I can and nothing is holding me back from that. Like being in a relationship isn't. So sometimes you have to think
Yep.
about those things, right? Like, okay, is it this that I
Totally.
need in my life? Do I just need more time to myself? And how do I do that? Yeah. Do you have kids? You need to talk to your partner and tell them this is what you need and figure it out. Like, hey, you're on kid duty or something. Like, I need to go
Yep.
away for the weekend. Like, I need some time. But so just be methodical about it, especially when it comes to big decisions, because if you're not giving the
Yes.
person like a chance to see what you're feeling and thinking, maybe they're feeling the same way, or maybe
Totally.
they're not and they're blindsided, but telling them would really make them realize, oh, wow, I had no idea. And like, and things can change and you can work from there. And obviously it sounds a lot more like rainbows and roses than it will go down, but it's probably going to be a heck of a lot better than, you know,
Going at it alone by
going
yourself in
exactly
your
going at
own
it
head.
alone for so
Yeah.
long, right? You got to take some time alone to figure it out and think, how could
Totally.
this look? But gosh, it's hard once you start to build a life with someone else. Andrew and I have been
So
together
hard.
for 7 years or something. Like, it's a long time.
That is a
And
long time.
like we're not married, we're not engaged, and that's just, our feelings upon marriage may be different than others, or we haven't gotten to a point that we feel like we need to do it. I'm not opposed to it, that's for sure, but it's not one of those things that sits over me that we
Is a
have to get married
priority.
to mean that our relationship means something and that we're building a life
Yes.
together. I don't need that to keep going. And I don't feel like if that did happen, that would stop anything from ever changing. So,
Yeah.
like I said, people have many different views on marriage, and that can do with religion and beliefs and things like that. So, to each their fucking own. I really
Yep.
don't care what you
Mm-hmm.
decide. I just want people to like be happy and be able to just make the choices that they need to make instead of sit in misery because
Yes, and
of
thrive.
society or also because of their kids. But I also understand that people can really be stuck.
Uh-huh.
And when they are stuck in those relationships they don't want to be in, I just, man, wish that I could help them figure it out, or that they could figure it out.
Yes.
Like, how do we do
But it
this?
for surely is a journey that
Yep,
people have to walk on their own. It's just,
absolutely.
there's been many a times this year where I was just like, okay, I just gotta, you know, fucking grit down and do
Mhm.
it, baby.
Well, you're doing it, and I'm really happy to hear that you and Murray are in a good place and able to
Yeah,
co-parent and see each other and maintain a
me
really
too.
an open communication relationship while
Yeah,
going through
because we,
this and figuring it out. So,
yeah, it definitely wasn't pretty there for a hot minute. So I think that
yeah.
that's probably why I feel comfortable to be able to talk about this now, is because We're
in a good
finally in a good
place.
place.
Yeah. And, throughout the journey, you're probably going to hit those bumps again and hit times that
100,
are,
dude.
but also you'd hit those when you were together, like anyone
Yeah.
does, peaks and valleys
Yes.
in a relationship.
Yes.
Like, no matter what, maybe you're in a romantic relationship right now, but you're forever going to be in some kind of relationship
Forever.
with him because he's the father of your son. So
Yes, and such a good one. He's such a good dad.
he
God,
is
he's so
an
good.
he is and you're so that's just so great that you have that and someone who cares about his kid enough to keep this relationship amicable
Yep.
and be a supporter of you through this.
Yes,
So
yes, yes, yes. Wow, that
it
went on a
did.
tangent.
Definitely far from our bullet points that we had for our outline for
Yes.
today, but that's what happens. And I think it's so great and so great for people to hear because how many people, are going through
Yeah.
something like that. So to hear that, someone else in a similar situation took the leap or to maybe give them like that advice that you gave at the very beginning of like you held it to yourself for so long,
Yeah.
maybe we'll give someone that little push they need of like, oh, okay, yes, before
Yeah.
we get to this point, I need to talk to
I
them.
hope so, dude, because
Yeah,
that was like looking back now, it truly was my greatest mistake, and I
yeah.
won't do that again with another partner.
Or even moving on from now with Marie,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're a lot more open about things off the
Uh-huh.
bat instead of holding them in as you go through it and figure stuff out. So I totally forgot that you hadn't talked about it on air
Yeah.
until all this that word just hit me at Thanksgiving. So it's separated.
Yep.
I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this is it. That was it. That was the announcement to the world.
That
As
was
you
the
mentioned, that happened in
announcement.
spring and it's November, almost
Yeah.
December. Cannot believe how much time has gone by and how much you've gone through. So again, reminder to people that you just never know what's really going on, so be kind, right? And that's a big reminder to myself.
Yes.
I am not the always most like happy, welcoming, like non-judgmental person. So that's a big reminder to me of like chill, don't react, be
Yeah.
nice. There's a lot deeper things going on with many people these days. You never know what their
Every day.
struggles are.
Oh,
Yep. Every day,
yes.
yeah. You just never know what's going down, so just don't be an asshole. But
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah.
Whew.
Well, so that's how
How was your
Thanksgiving was.
Thanksgiving?
It was good. Real chill. We were at Andrew's parents. Some family came over, some family friends, and had a really good smoked turkey. It was I got a lot of stuff done the morning before, and yeah, it just felt good. And then it's been a pretty relaxful weekend, which has been nice because I've been just on the grind for fuck the whole month. And this week coming up is going to be super, super busy. I'm
Yes.
like not home like any night. Um, except for like Thursday I have a meeting, but I mean like so I'll be home not super late, but got three like later night events going on this week and trying to get into fit in wrestling practice and upon work and all the things. It's this week's just gonna be fucking nuts, but
Feel
hopefully
you.
the week after that calms down just a touch, but pretty much like I've mentioned too, December is going to be a whirlwind, and that's where I think why time keeps getting to me is that most of my December's planned, so I just feel
Yep.
like it's already over. Like, oh my god, it just started, and I already know like what I'm doing every fucking day. It feels like so.
Yes.
So yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and I just hope it snows. It hasn't really done anything. It's cold. It's been cold the last few days. But no movement there. On one hand,
Yeah.
I'm like a little okay with it because I am so busy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna take a little while. We need to get a base. So I'm like, you can start snowing. So by the time that it's good to go out and ride, I have some, a leveled out schedule or something.
Yes. Yeah.
But nothing's in the forecast, and I'm ready for it to just start going and hunker down, even though I don't, as I mentioned, I've been on a pretty good routine with like working out and movement and stuff. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I can still do a lot of things outside. I've been
Uh-huh.
getting some of my workouts done inside the trailer, which is awesome that I can get them done, but there's a lot of ways I want to train that are not conducive to working out in a trailer. And I was going to try and get a gym membership while they were having their Black Friday sale, but Black Friday was a little too early. It's before payday, so I'm like, well, fuck, missed that boat. Won't be able to buy that gym membership. And with December being kind of busy, I'm like, maybe I can make it through December and reevaluate finances in January to make it happen that I have a place to go because I just need that space too. Like when as far as like my workout time is like my alone time. So it's nice to be able to do it inside, but often the dogs are here, Andrew's here, and I just got to be able to get into my own head and out of
Yep.
my own head at the same time while
Yes.
working out.
Yes.
So having,
Dude.
going outside's great. The dogs they get in my way, but I can shoo them away. But man, when I went to the gym, I bought just a day pass last weekend and I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Like this feels good to just have everything at my fingertips, so much
Yep.
space um and yeah, I missed it, but just have to try to keep fitness on my priority list,
Mm-hmm.
even if I can't do it at a gym. And we
Yes.
talked about how hard it is, right, to keep
Fuck,
yourself,
man.
not your self-help, your self-care priority.
Yes.
Especially in fitness for a lot of people is the first thing to go when finances are in the shitter because you can't afford
Yep.
that gym membership or that yoga pass or whatever it is. So you're like, I'm gonna stop paying for that and maybe do a couple things at home, but it just gets hard because like a lot of
Yep.
people, it's a sanctuary for them. They need that space to get out of the house and be able to get their workout in. So how do you do that through the winter? Um, but yeah, I just have to really try. It's gonna be hard in December to keep this up and to keep doing it in a tiny, tiny space. But I know
You can do
overall it will
it.
be better for me mentally. And if it
You
can
can do it.
save a few bucks, because even if I had the money to actually buy the pass, it's not like it's extra money. So I'd still be very, very tight. I'd buy the pass, but then be like, cool, now, like, I want to still be able to have that 350 bucks in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so yeah, it gets really hard to justify. But it is 4 months long.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, if I do it just, one time payment for 4 months, like I could figure it out. But I didn't plan well enough in advance and think about my crazy schedule this week and my paycheck schedule. So, and that's what
It'll
sucks
come to
too
you.
about being um a couple of my other jobs that depend on other people to pay someone first before I get paid. So I
Yes.
didn't get paid this month because some people aren't paying their bills and I'm like, well, that sucks. Because yeah, now I can't buy that. But that's what I was depending on. Like, oh, I'll get a paycheck from
Yes.
from this person. Like, nope, cool. So, pay your bills.
Yes, please. And try your best to manage your accounts payable and
Yeah.
accounts receivables.
Again, message for myself as well. But yeah, so it just makes me think about so many things in life and like how the fuck do I get to the point where I don't have to, budgeting is one thing and knowing where you're spending your money, but if you have to account for every dollar, that's not fun.
Yeah.
And that's not the place I want
Maybe
to be.
a good resolution for this year would be like being on top of your finances,
hmm
which huge, huge, huge undertaking, but take it one day at a time. Take it one
hmm
paycheck at a time. Take it 1 month at a time. Like,
And that's where I'm trying to look at it as like, okay, just because I can't afford a gym pass doesn't mean my fitness just goes away, right? So if I can
yeah,
stay in the mindset of getting my tiny trailer at home workouts in, so
yep,
it may not be the way that I want to work out right now. I might be wanting to lift a lot heavier weights and do things that I can't jump on a fucking box, in
yeah.
this environment. But I
Most people
don't,
can't do that at home.
yeah, I don't want to look at it in a negative way, like, oh, poor me, can't go to the gym, looks like I can't fucking work out. I know
Yeah,
how much working out means to me and how much of a difference it makes in my life. So I just have to remember that every day because I'm bad at it. I go through the phases that I don't stay on top of it because I'm just like, oh, don't want to, can't do this, can't do that. And I just have to change my mindset of like, but I can do this and it's okay. Like I'm gonna make something happen And same thing with like my hair, right? I was getting my hair done every like 4 months and I couldn't do it this October. And I'm also like, okay, just for a little bit, that is something that makes me feel good and I like to do. But is it more important than, being able to afford groceries or paying or being able to pay off my credit card? No. So it's going to go on the back burner right now.
Yep.
So the gym pass can go on the back burner, but my fitness doesn't have to.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
very, very hard to stay motivated to work out alone all the time and work out at home all the time. I like it all. I like group classes. I like the gym. I like to work out at home. So when I'm stuck to just one way, it's hard, but
Yes.
it's just where it has to be right now. And it's not a forever. And like I said, if in 2 weeks I decide I can, spend that money, then I will. But
Yes.
for now, I just can't let it just get me down. So trying to change the mindset, and that's something we talked about
Good
with
job. Yes.
Tanya, the money life
Adapting.
coach, is like, yeah, just it's so much of it can be about mindset, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to just say like restriction or this or
Yes.
that, but if I want to be here, I have to get there by doing this. And so you just remember that of like, why are you making that choice? In the long run, it's going to be better because that's the thing. I'm very impulsive and I think about the here, now, why. I want this now and not
Mm-hmm.
like, well, am I going to want it in 2 days?
Yeah.
Like that's what you got to think about with shopping, right? Put something in your cart,
Uh-huh.
leave it there a week later. Are you still thinking about it? Do you still really, really need it or want it? Then like, okay, maybe do it. But if you forgot about it,
Methodical,
then you
man.
don't need it. Like
No.
trying not to be impulsive with my money and make sure I
So
can, yeah,
hard.
do things that.
Speaking of working out, I got sick towards the end of CrossFit. So the past week and a half, I have not been doing jack diddly squat.
And that's okay though. Sometimes you need to take a break and it's
Yes, but
fine.
next week it is freaking on, baby. I'm back in action. I'm feeling good, and
Good.
I'm gonna start off where I left off in the CrossFit challenge and
Cool.
then just consider that a completion once I'm done with that. But the
Yeah.
last workout that I did, where it was like the single leg stuff, fucking rocked me.
That's
Like
what
I
I
was
have to
only
do
able to
today.
get the first round in,
Hmm.
and I just did one round of
Hmm.
all of them, and even then the next day I was still like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I have to do that
That.
workout. That workout is repeating this week. It's just not a
Okay, cool.
tempo workout. Last week, the time you did it was like tempo, so it was a lot slower.
Yep.
Um, so I was gonna do the workout yesterday, and it was just fucking so cold. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
I was even so cold that I didn't want to do it inside. But I wanted to use my box. I wanted to do my box jumps, and I'm sure I could have found a rock or a ledge or something to fucking jump on out here. But I was like, let's just get to town. I want to get my box and I'm bringing it up to the property and maybe I'll work out in town. But I was just so cold and obviously moving your body is going to get you warmer. But I just
Mm-hmm.
also the thought of sweating while it was 30 some degrees and then having to take a
Yep.
shower. I was just not into it. I was cozy. I wanted to stay warm. Whereas the day before it was 26 degrees and I'm like walking outside and like getting warm that way and like loved it. But it was more first thing in the morning that I just went for it. And so I had too much time to think yesterday. But also I got a lot in last week. So, I was like taking Saturday as a full rest day is totally fine. And I'm
Yes.
gonna do my Friday workout today. And yeah, I just can't believe that it's been 4 weeks already. There's only the way I designed the CrossFit program, like because I wanted it to be a full 30 days, it ended up going like a Monday to a Monday instead of just 4 solid weeks. And but I thought that was great the way it's gonna land because that means week 5, you have a Monday workout to hopefully start people off on that week. So they're gonna be on their own
Yes.
after Monday,
Yes.
but hopefully they started their week with a workout at least so then it continues the rest of the week instead of like on a Monday, like, oh, I don't even know what to do or where to start. Nope, you got
Yeah.
one in on Monday. So now you know what to do. You've done it for a month. You can take these workouts and, do them again,
Yep.
or
Yep.
you can start doing something new, but hopefully you have the momentum to keep going. And man, I remember when it started. I'm bad at sticking to things, and I got everything in. I didn't get it all in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday exactly, but I got 3 workouts in, and that was my goal. Didn't
Yeah,
matter when I
baby.
got them in. And I just think that that's what people need to remember, what I've just kind of been going on about. It doesn't have to fucking look perfect or be pretty. But if it's all you have for now, it's a little something's going to be a whole lot better than nothing. And
Yep.
that's my biggest reminder to myself, because I often like, well, if I can't do that, it's not worth it. Like, no, it's
Yes.
still worth it. Still worth it. And you're still going to feel better about it if it's means something to you, if it's your priority and your goals.
Yep.
So yeah,
Get it in where you can, how you can.
yeah, and I'm tired of going through the phases of being on it and then totally off it. I
Yep.
want to be consistent, and I know how hard it is for clients to be consistent. I know how hard it is for myself to be consistent, but at this moment in time, it is my top priority to keep going and make it
Go for
happen.
it.
So yeah. So that's where we're at. And I also will be releasing this program to anybody to purchase at their
Cool.
own pace. So they can do it, the steps will go in certain order, but you'll be able to start it when you want. It will last, you won't have just a month to do it. If it takes you 2 months to do it because you're spreading the workouts out or whatever, you'll have that option. Videos of the exercises are already in there. And yeah, it's gonna be $25 if you want to purchase the month-long CrossFit
Dude, that's so worth
program.
it.
And this free program that I had, it was free as a kind of testing out this program and to get people going and involved and to show them what it's like to work with a coach, and the fact that we had the group for accountability that we didn't get any action on, unfortunately. People obviously just didn't need it. They didn't need to be posting to the group to help them going, but it was your chance to have that and to have more of me, like I said, to see how it is working with a coach remotely. When you're doing it self-paced, if anyone out there wants to buy it, I'll still be there to answer your questions, but I'm not doing the program along with you. And yeah, like if you have a problem, 100% there to answer your questions, but I'm not there with you every day like I was
Yeah.
this time. I
And
can be
even just
if you want
having
your
that
own
was,
program, but
yeah, it
but
was
yeah,
so great. I advocate for it for sure.
yeah, I think it's awesome. Like I said, if you just don't know what to do and that holds you back from getting started, is like, I don't know what to do. You can do this at the gym, you can do it at home, and you get started at least. So then you can go from there. You can change things up of how much you want to do or how little. Okay, so anyways, we've covered a lot of bases this week. I'm just so happy Amber shared her story with everyone, and I hope that people can take something from it if it's a situation you find yourself in, or either now or in the future. Just remember, communication is key. Anyways, next week, we're going to do a gift guide episode. So I wanted to just be able to give people ideas of some cool things, maybe out of the box or something you haven't thought of. A lot of us save our shopping till the last minute. So I, again, wanted to give people ideas of what they can gift. So whether it's your own wish list, things that you'd like to receive from anybody, a partner, a friend, a family member, anything like that, you can give us your own wish list. If you have ideas, great ideas to gift to people, let us hear them. And what we're going to do for this episode too is we're going to open it up for people to join us. You will not be joining us via video. We're not sure if it's going to be a Zoom link yet or another platform, but whatever it is, as you join us, the chat is going to be open. So you will not be on video, you will not be on audio, but you will hear us real time having the conversation and have a live chat, so you can insert any ideas for the gift giving season there, or whatever we happen to be talking about. You can leave your feedback, and that way we can take that into listeners too. It's just a fun way to integrate listeners in real time. So we will have that link posted on Instagram on the story and in the bio when we get that all set. And so that will be for next week. We haven't set the recording time yet, but yeah, just look out for that. If you want to join us and be live and join the chat, then you'll be able to. So we will talk to you guys all next week. Thanks for joining us again. And for now, bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearinituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.